Jesus is Lord. Yeah, God did it. God did it. Jesus is Lord, and He's coming back. I'm back. God did it. God is responsible for this act. This is an act of God. Who's responsible for this? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. If anybody out there, including Skylar Fiction, believes that Joe Beijing Biden is not 100% responsible for what is going on in Afghanistan, you need to pay attention to this stream. We now have an official report from Biden's State Department, which proves the Biden administration is 100%, not Trump, but the Biden administration is 100% responsible for what is occurring in Afghanistan. I'm sure you've all seen the news stories by now. I think this is day 10 or 11 of the hostage situation. Americans are trapped behind enemy lines. This picture here, you'll see the Taliban mocking our U.S. troops, mocking the victory, mocking us in Iwo Jima, the victory of our uh, Marines. Um, they recreated the famous photograph to mock the U.S. were raising a white Taliban flag. They're dressed in American tactical gear. In camouflage, here you see mocking the United States and recreating the image of the U.S. Marines raising the U.S. flag on the island of Iwo Jima. If you still believe, like Scholar Fiction, that Donald Trump is to blame for what's going on, you need to pay close attention. I'm going to show you receipts, proof that that is not the case. Proof not from Fox News, not from Newsmax, not from Breitbart, but an official report from Biden's own State Department. Reuters, NPR, Wall Street Journal, Political, Washington Compost, and New York Compost have all reported on what was left behind by the Biden administration, the weapons, that is, over something like $1 million or billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars in U.S. weaponry left in the hands of men who follow Muhammad and the Quran. Ladies and gentlemen, these men now have the same equipment our U.S. Marines have. If I'm playing modern warfare versus Russian style AK 47s, Type 1 AK 47s, I have the advantage against them. When you equip the enemy with the same weaponry that your soldiers have, you no longer have the advantage. Imagine playing modern day warfare and having to deal with soldiers who have the same capabilities that you have. Biden is 100% responsible, and I'm going to prove it. Modern mine resistant vehicles, or MRAPs, mine resistant ambush protected Humvees, billions of dollars in U.S. weaponry. night vision goggles in the hands of men who believe the Quran is the word of God or Allah. Even CNN reported on this. The Biden administration is 100% responsible. Let me show you the receipts. Let me show you the proof. This is from the Washington Times and Heard. Of course, the Biden administration blames Trump for his obvious blunder, leaving those types of weapons and capabilities, including drones, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine playing modern warfare and the enemy has the same drones that you have. You won't win the game. President Biden, this is according to the Washington Times, blamed former president, we would say President Donald J. Trump, on Saturday for the Taliban's rapid gain in Afghanistan, saying Mr. Trump, quote, left the extremist group, quote, in the strongest position militarily since 2001 when he left office. This is the rhetoric that is being pushed by CNN, MSNBC, Skylar Fiction. Mr. Trump, of course, responded by saying Mr. Biden, quote, ran out of Afghanistan instead of following the plan of our administration that was left for him. That's what a president is supposed to do when it comes to foreign affairs. Follow the plan that the administration who has experience left for you. This is courtesy of Newsmax. This is Tom Baselli, Newsmax anchor and reporter, interviewing former chief of staff of Donald Trump or the Trump administration, Kash Patel.
I'm Tom Baselli. President Joe Biden continues to point the finger at his predecessor, former President Donald Trump, amid the chaos in Afghanistan, claiming the previous administration empowered the Taliban and left them, quote, in the strongest position militarily since 2001. Joining us now to respond to that is former principal deputy to the acting director of national intelligence and the deputy assistant to the president for counterterrorism, Kash Patel. Kash, always good to see you. You had a great op-ed piece in the New York Post just the other day. You discuss how you helped run the former president's Afghan withdrawal strategy, and you say that President Biden's attempt to blame President Trump is, quote, just sad. Talk to us about what President Trump would have done differently based off of your strategy and your discussions when he was in office.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. And look, when I was chief of staff over at the Defense Department, too, President Trump's number one mission was safeguarding the American public, and Afghanistan was a big part of it. So the juxtaposition between what President Biden has done, which is an unconditional surrender in Afghanistan, versus what President Trump did, which was a conditions-based withdrawal, are drastically different. President Trump met with the Taliban leader face-to-face himself and told them if any Americans were harmed, or any American interest was harmed, he would unleash the full fury of the Department of Defense. Now, that is a threat with teeth. Right. He also said there would be no withdrawal unless both sides, the Taliban and the Afghan government, sat down and negotiated an interim peace agreement. And most importantly, he said there needed to be a full and all-out repudiation and rejection of al-Qaeda in its entirety, full stop. Those are just some of the examples that President Trump, the conditions that he had said must be included in a withdrawal plan, not to mention not giving up our brain center in Bagram Airfield, which Joe Biden just gave away.
Yeah, certainly a very different approach than what we're seeing now. The Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby says that they are working within the August 31st deadline, now just only 7 days away for the withdrawal and getting everybody out. Take a listen to this.
We are well aware of the stated desire by the Taliban to have this mission completed by the 31st of August. I would tell you that we, too, are still planning. on completing it by the 31st of August. That is the mission that had been signed by the Commander-in-Chief, assigned to us, and that's what we're trying to execute.
We too are still planning. Still planning. So there you go. Trump's number one mission, according to, of course, former Chief of Staff Kash Patel, was the safeguarding of the American citizens and the citizens of Afghanistan. And he had condition-based withdrawal demands that he put, which was not done by this president, obviously. This administration is 100% responsible. Let me show you the receipts now. Enough of the accusations. This is courtesy of the National Pulse. And this is the article in the National Post. Joe Biden's State Department halted a Trump-era crisis response plan. We have receipts. I'm going to show you the receipts. I'm going to show you the actual email that was sent by the Biden administration State Department. Joe Biden's State Department halted, stopped, forbid, canceled. You can fill in your own synonym in there. Halted, stopped a Trump-era crisis response plan aimed at avoiding what we're seeing now, a Benghazi-style evacuation, just months before the Taliban take over. They stopped Trump's plan or reversed Trump's plan, ignored Trump's plan. But yet we have Joe Biden, as reported by the Washington Compost, saying that Mr. Trump left the Taliban in the strongest position military since 2001. Let's see the receipts. Let's see the proof. Here is the actual memo. Here is the actual email. Action memo for the secretary. You see here on the right. Action memo from the secretary. There's the deputy secretary, Brian P. McKeenan. Subject is Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau. Joe Biden State Department moved to cancel a critical State Department program aimed at providing swift and safe evacuations. Also, the evacuations of the weapons, night vision goggles. How on earth does the Taliban now have the same weaponry that our U.S. Marines have? Night vision goggles. Every modern warfare I played since it came out, the enemy never had night vision goggles. That gave me an advantage. Joe Biden's State Department moved to cancel a critical State Department program aimed at providing swift, this is from the article from the Post, National Post, swift and safe evacuations of Americans out of the crisis zones just months prior to the fall of Kabul. The National Post can exclusively reveal. Here's what the email reads. I'll read the email here. Let me finish the article. The Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau, which was designed to handle medical, diplomatic, and logistical support concerning Americans overseas, was paused, stopped, forbidden, rebuked by Anthony Blinken's State Department earlier this year. Notification was officially signed just months before the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan. Sensitive but unclassified, an official State Department document from the Biden State Department. This is not Fox News reporting or, or an anonymous source reported by Fox News, a source, right? This is directly from the Biden State Department. The following move, before outlining the following move to quash, to quelch, to stop the Trump era funding for the new bureau. There's the memo. You see on the right side of your screen, there's the document, straight from the desk of the Deputy Secretary of State. Confirmed in March by the United States Senate. Recommendations that you direct the discontinuation of the establishment and termination of the Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau. That's the plan that Trump had for the administration that was to take over. The president-elect Joe Biden was supposed to follow this contingency plan. They decide that they're going to terminate the plan and direct a further review of certain associated department requirements and capabilities. Recommendation 1, that you direct the discontinuation of the establishment and termination of the CCR, the Contingency and Crisis Response requirements. So anything that applied, and it was approved here, as you see, decision was approved. Anything that Donald Trump recommended was to be discontinued. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have an official report. Stop watching fake news. Stop watching MSNBC and CNN. They're not going to tell you this. They're going to continue to defend that clown and the female clown in the White House, the president-elect and the vice president-elect. If you still believe that Donald Trump is responsible for what you see going on in Afghanistan, you're probably a liberal, or you're a liberal and your name ends in fiction. Shut up, liberal comment of the week comes from Skylar Fiction.
But let's go back to Afghanistan, a fucking failed war that multiple presidents are guilty of continuing. Okay. Many of you guys don't know. I don't even get in the history of it. It doesn't matter. We can't be. If you guys seen Team America World Police, right? There's no good answer to this, right? And I love it. I love all these fake fucking Republican conservatives out there that are like, oh, Biden's leaving these folks to die. Look at the people falling out of the planes. Your boy, Donald Trump, was the one who had this plan to get him out.
Your boy Donald Trump was the one that had this plan to get him out. Shut up, liberal. Shut up, liberal. Your boy Donald Trump. So who's been watching CNN and MSNBC? Huh, we could tell. Yeah, Skylar Fiction. Shut up, liberal. Shut up, liberal comment of the week comes from Skylar Fiction. Thank you, Skylar, for proving how much of a useful idiot you are. Here's more from the document. The document is dated June 11th, 2021. This is courtesy of the National Post. If you haven't subscribed to them, maybe you should. Maybe Scholar Fiction should. The decision to pause the program may have come as early as February, both undermining the original Trump era date for withdrawal. So Trump drew a line in the sand and they pushed it back, and certainly giving the Taliban time to threaten American assets and lives on the run up to Joe Biden's September 11th date of withdrawal. We read this already. The subject line reads SBU, Contingency and Crisis Response Bureau. We read this already. That you direct the discontinuation and the termination of Trump's program. There you have it, Saints. There you have it. Biden, why you left us behind? Biden, why you left us behind? This man here is an interpreter. Um, he's an Afghan interpreter. This is courtesy of Newsmax. His name is Sabir or Saib Nasseri. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he's asking the Biden administration why you left us behind. Check this out.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I just came from one location. I'm going to the other interview. My parents just moved and saved in Dubai, and my other family, brothers, sisters, and other siblings, they're under control of Taliban. They're hiding and next to the Kia airport, we call Kabul airport. They moved from north of Afghanistan, the Taliban. When I was advisor in Helmand province, they put a $300,000 bounty on my head. They cut my fingers off. They surround my family before, but now they're looking at my family to arrest them. But a lot of the retired Marine and Captain and Colonel, like Colonel Mark DeVito, Congressman Chris Smith, John Allen, Jerry Torres, and other folks, they're helping me. They're trying to support me, but not Mr. Joe Biden. And I was asking Mr. Joe Biden, I respect you, I like you, but the problem is why you forgot us, why you left us behind, why you brought and support Taliban. A majority of Afghanistan, they don't want Taliban. Minority people, they like maybe. But right now, a million people, they are trying to leave Afghanistan and they are blamed on American forces.
Mr.
Wow. Problem. Why you forgot us? Why did you leave us behind, Joey? Mr. Beijing Biden. Problem. Check out this guy. I mean, when I first seen this guy's face, I said, that's a Marine. He turned out to be a Navy SEAL, special ops, special forces, primary special ops. This is retired Navy SEAL Jacko Wilnick. Not sure if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Retired Navy SEAL, special ops, Silver Star. That means he's had acts of valor, acts of bravery, heroism, over a brief period of time. You're awarded the Silver Star. So this is a combat award, or a medal of bravery, act of valor, the Silver Star. He's awarded the Silver Star. He's awarded the Bronze Star, which is also sort of like a heroic type of merit or service award. He's a commander, former commander of Navy SEAL Team 3. And this is courtesy of Fox News. He was asked if he were president. This is the type of guy, if you're a young kid and you're dating, and this guy comes to the door when you come to pick up his daughter, and this guy comes to the door, you're very careful about how you treat that young lady that night. I'll just say that. But he was asked by Fox News anchor, if he were president, what would he have done? I found this rather interesting. Check this out.
The next 48 hours, America will be in control of most major airports in Afghanistan. any resistance we meet from the Taliban or otherwise when we seize these airports will be destroyed completely and without mercy. Any person that interferes with these operations will be killed.
We bring in John.
There you go. That's what an American would have said to the Taliban. That was retired Navy SEAL, special ops. This is the guy you play with in your modern warfare video games. This is the guy who actually did it for real. Okay, again, Silver Star, Bronze Star, former Navy SEAL Team 3. That's a Navy primary special ops force. Okay. Yeah, that's what he would have said to the Taliban. Man, if you think that Joe Biden is not 100% responsible for what you see going on, your last name probably ends in fiction. It was the Biden administration, again, according to their own official reports, that stopped a Trump crisis response plan, which was set in place to evacuate Americans and civilians out of Afghanistan in case the you-know-what hits the fan. This completely dismantles the Skylar fictional story and talking points. I am a woman, I just became a woman. I am a woman, I just became a woman. Now this, on the lighter side of things, this is sort of like the laugh out loud at liberals, sort of combining all of these things, right? In my former streams, some former guy, formerly known as Joe. So we're still gonna have fun laughing at these people. But this, I found this clip, and this is from Louder with Crowder, and he was interviewing a woman, and then another woman, quote unquote, comes up and doesn't like the conversation that is being had, and decides to give his opinion of the conversation Crowder was having. By the way, pray for Crowder. I think he is undergoing heart surgery or has already undergone surgery or gone under the knife. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any updates yet on his channel. But the last I've heard, he needed surgery. So pray for him and his family that God will, that God would guide the hand of the surgeon as he skillfully performs the operation, and that he comes out on okay and better and stronger than he was before he went under the knife. But this conversation was about rape, and listen to this. Watch what happens.
A woman who is told, if you're assaulted, please go to the authorities. They will handle it. And then someone in a privilege of power, let's say a cop or an attorney or whatever, they ask the question, well, what were you wearing that night? That permeates.
Which is bullshit, by the way.
It is bullshit.
I'm so sorry. I think rape culture is a fucking myth.
Can you just wait? We'll have a conversation afterwards.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
There's no conversation that needs to be had. Rape is fucking serious. Rape has happened to me 4 fucking times, and I'm sick and tired of this fucking debate. Men need to respect women, period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry, I am a woman, so fuck you if you don't think so. I don't even have time for this. And I don't have time.
My mistake.
You're going to let me speak because here's my truth. I've been raped 4 times. I've known women that have been raped multiple times gruesomely. And how dare you sit up here and try to say that women aren't worth respect? Fuck you.
I didn't say that.
I am a woman. I just became a woman. It's just like, are you fucking kidding me? People don't even respect me, period. And I'm already black, so it's just like, yeah, that already goes against me anyways. But still,
oh, I'm already black.
You piece of living garbage ass dumpster fire. Trash gum on the bottom of my shoe. Oh my God, I wish I had a tissue for the blood. I would.
Sure. Might I suggest it's your behavior? not because you're black or a woman.
I'm sorry. Can I stop here? Can I stop here?
Triggered.
Please?
Triggered. Oh man, I was laughing so hard, even harder than I'm laughing now. I am a woman. I just became a woman. Wow, wow. I am a woman. I just became a woman. His words, not mine's. All right, Scholar Fiction. If you haven't heard, Scholar Fiction believes that Trump is responsible for what's going on in Afghanistan. So he won the Shut Up Liberal Comment of the Week, Scholar Fiction.
But let's go back to Afghanistan.
But.
Fucking failed war that multiple presidents are guilty of continuing. Okay. Many of you guys don't know. I don't even get in the history of it. It doesn't matter. We can't be. If you guys seen Team America World Police, right? There's no good answer to this, right? And I love it. I love all these fake fucking Republican conservatives out there that are like, oh, Biden's leaving these folks to die. Look at the people falling out of the planes. Your boy, Donald Trump, was the one who had this plan to get him out.
Your boy, Donald Trump. There's no good answer to this. How about not leaving special forces, primary ops special forces, weaponry in the hands of the Taliban? How about that, Scholar Fiction, for starters? How about following the plan that Donald Trump had instead of discontinuing it? How about that? How about not leaving the Taliban with Humvees and mine resistant protected Humvees? How about not leaving billions of dollars of U.S. weaponry, which are now in the hands of men who follow the Quran, a hopelessly morally flawed document? How about that for starters? There's no good answer to this. Shut up, liberal. No good answer to this. Oh, it's Donald Trump's fault, right? It was his plan that Biden was following, right? Was Biden given this situation by President Trump? Was Biden given this situation by President Trump? Here is Tom Pacelli again with Mr. Patel answering that question. Was Biden given this situation by President Trump? President Trump.
I'm not sure, and I think that this is the White House shifting the goalpost. This August 31st deadline was set after they broke the agreement that President Trump had in place with the Taliban and the Afghans. So I don't think the Taliban much cares about this 31 August agreement, because if you remember, Joe Biden wanted to glorify 9/11, the sacred date where America was attacked like we had never been before. And the only thing 9/11 should be used for now is to remember the fallen and also remember our servicemen and women. But Joe Biden wanted to politicize it so he could somehow claim victory in Afghanistan. And when Joe Biden and his secretaries and his press guys go to the podium and say they were given this situation by President Trump, that's just totally false. They weren't given a scenario in which we gave up our machinery and manning and weaponry of 20 years in Afghanistan. Yeah. That was their lack of planning and surrender under Biden, not Trump.
Yeah, we gave them an air force.
We gave them an air force. I didn't even mention that. Did I mention the drones? Did I mention the Humvees? Did I mention the night vision goggles that were left in the hands of men who believe blowing themselves up in order to kill Jews is something that gets them a first-class ticket to heaven? This completely dismantles the narrative, the false narrative that's being pushed. Still. to this hour. We now have an official report from Biden's State Department. I didn't put the link in the chat because there won't be any liberals that'll come in and challenge me on this. I already know that for sure. They'll show up in the comment section later, but they won't come in and challenge me on this. So there's no need to put the link in the chat. If you still think that Donald Trump is responsible for this, you're not paying close attention to what's going on, other than the fake news, mainstream media, of course. Check this out. This is courtesy of Fox News. All right, and I'm going to give you a Fox News article since I'm giving you nothing but their own publications, their emails, their reports. Now we're going to look at Fox News. Hundreds of ballots, and there were other outlets reporting on this as well. Hundreds of ballots for California's governor, Gavin Newsom, recall election. If you're not familiar with what's going on, Google it. Gavin Newsom is being recalled, and I think Larry Elder, the radio talk show host, he has a conservative talk show, radio show, whatever, and a true civil rights leader, Larry Elder, is now, I think, still leading in the polls. Last time I checked. So liberals are running scared. They're shaking in their boots that this man, this common sense black man, African American, whatever you want to call it, quote unquote, is now in the lead to become the mayor. And liberals don't like it. Now, they first tried to stop Larry Elder from running. He submitted about 300 pages of paperwork regarding his taxes, and which is necessary for running for an office. And they said that wasn't too much. They tried to block him. Right? Where was Black Lives Matter then? Right? Black Lives Matter didn't protest the liberals in California trying to block Larry Elder from running for governor, did they? That's because he's a conservative. He's an African American. He's an uncle, quote unquote, Uncle Ruckus. So they bothered not to protest the blocking of Larry Elder's attempting to throw his hat in the ring, like they would say, or run for governor. He had to sue. He had to take them to court in order to run for governor. And the judge, thank God, decided that they had no business doing what they were doing, trying to block Larry Elder. So Larry Elder is now running officially for governor of California because Gavin Newsom, who is a disaster, even liberals can't stand him, is now being recalled, or he's being kicked out of office, basically. So what do liberals do? Well, they're going to do the same thing that they always do. And we don't need to even mention, when we have evidence now that this has happened before in the past. Not going to say when, but in this case, hundreds of ballots for California Governor Newsom's recall election, drugs, and a loaded gun. So liberals will hire anyone, even drug dealers, to do their dirt, to do their due, right? A loaded gun were found in a vehicle where a felon was passed out. Police responded to a call of a man passed out in the vehicle in a 7-Eleven parking lot. And this was in Torrance, California. This happened on the 16th of August, about 9 days ago. This is according to the Torrance Police Department. During the investigation, officers learned the suspect, and this is courtesy of Fox News, was a felon. He had Xanax pills, or Zanies, we would call them in the hood, in his possession. Police said a further investigation found thousands of pieces of mail, including over 300 ballots for the upcoming recall election of Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Over 300 recall election ballots, along with thousands of pieces of mail, were found inside the felon's vehicle. In addition to the mail and ballots, police found a loaded firearm, methamphetamine, a scale, and multiple California driver's licenses and credit cards in other people's names. It's not, Fox News reports, it's not immediately clear how the ballots ended up in the suspect's vehicle or what he intended to do with them. Police say the incident is being investigated in partnership with the U.S. Postal Service. Oh, don't get me started on them. And the Los Angeles County District Attorney Public Integrity Unit. So the recall election will be held, I think, in September. And basically, they're saying he mishandled the state's response to the pandemic. So they're recalling Newsom. And looks like Larry Elder is basically, I think he's about 20 points ahead in the poll. And he was interviewed. This is courtesy of the B. And he was asked, what will be the first 3 things you'll do as governor? Larry Elder, if you're not familiar with Larry Elder, you're probably a liberal. He's a conservative talk radio show host. He's a civil rights leader. He gives you facts and minus or void of emotion. Facts void of emotion. That's what's needed in the African American community. Look at my African American.
So you become the next governor of California. What are the first 3 things you do as you take over?
Well, one of the things I'm going to do is declare a statewide emergency on homelessness. One of the reasons we have the homelessness problem is because of the price of housing that I mentioned just a moment ago. And even when and if we're successful in getting people off the streets and make them self-sufficient, or at least get them off the streets so that donors can subsidize their lifestyle, where are they going to go? We don't have low-cost housing. We don't have low-cost apartments here in California because of CEQA, which, by the way, was waived when a billionaire wanted to build the stadium for the Sacramento Kings. I'm also going to do something about education. I'm going to be a strong proponent of school choice. My understanding is that there very well might be a ballot initiative that would set up something like education savings accounts so that the money follows the child rather than the other way around. So parents are in charge of their education of their children. I'm going to be a big proponent of that. I'm also going to be talking about crime. We have a couple of DAs in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and in Los Angeles. George Soros appointed DAs. The DA in LA was appointed, by the way, as DA in San Francisco by my opponent, by Gavin Newsom. They're both soft on crime. They both believe in cashless bail. And I'm going to urge the recall of those 2 DAs. They're already facing a recall election. And if I can give a voice to that effort as governor from my bully pulpit, I'm going to do that. I'm also going to turn down the rhetoric. This business about the police engaging in systemic racism is false. It's a lie. There have been many studies showing, if anything, the police are more hesitant, more reluctant to pull the trigger on a black suspect than a white suspect. And what's happened is police, because of this false accusation, are engaging in what's called passive policing as opposed to proactive policing. They're pulling back. Bad guys know it. Crime goes up. And the very people who are disproportionately hurt by that are black and brown people. I'm also not going to do what this governor has done. He's overseen the release of some 20,000 people, 20,000 convicted felons, many of whom are violent offenders during COVID. And the stats show that the majority of them are likely to reoffend. That's why Barbara Boxer, just a few days ago, was mugged by somebody in the Bay Area in Oakland. And even Gavin Newsom several months ago was assaulted by a homeless person. But Gavin Newsom had a security detail, and that protected him. Most of us don't have security detail. Crime doesn't have a color. Homelessness doesn't have a color. The rising cost of living doesn't have a color. So I'm going to do something about crime, homelessness, and the cost of living in my first several days if I'm fortunate enough to become governor.
Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Homelessness, reverse that, reverse the liberal policies which caused the housing prices to rise. I think California is probably the most expensive place to live still. I think the average home is about $500 to $800,000. So of course there's people that are homeless, they can't afford that. Education, school choice is always a good thing. Liberals can't stand it. I think I know why, but that's another stream. And then crime. Cashless bail? Wait a minute, the January 6th, quote unquote, insurgents couldn't post bail, but you're giving 20,000 convicted felons a get out of jail free card, Mr. Newsom? Well, let's see what the Los Angeles Times has to say. Let's see what the liberals have to say about this black man who is running for governor in their state. Perhaps not in their state. Not sure if the columnist here is from California, but she black. Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. This is not a parody. This is an actual article. Google it. Los Angeles Times. This is what liberals think of black men who actually tell the truth, cite studies, provide facts, and not emotion. The black face of white supremacy. You've been warned. This is Erica Smith. She black. This is along the lines of the Uncle Tom and the Uncle Ruckus and the Coon pejorative that is often hoisted upon those African Americans who don't toe the line of the Democratic plantation, the Democratic Party, the party of racism, the party of slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party of eugenics. Just think of Margaret Sanger, who said the best thing we can do for these blacks is to stop them from reproducing, to kill their children. She compared blacks to weeds in your garden. If we don't pull them up, uproot them, they're going to destroy the country, basically. It's the same party that supports abortion today, where blacks are 5 times more likely to get an abortion. Let's read the article. This is Erica Smith. I could show you the article, but when you go to these sites a number of times, they start asking you to subscribe. And I'm not subscribing to the Los Angeles Slimes. The Los Angeles Slimes. That's what I call them. Larry Elder smiled. This is Erica Smith. Erica D. Smith. We're going to look at where she came from. You're not going to be shocked. Larry Elder smiled the smug of a black conservative. This is Erica Smith, a black liberal, I would gather. Larry Elder smiled the smug smile of a black conservative. Why? Because he's independent and doesn't rely on government, who could very well be liberal California's next governor. They're shaking in their boots, ladies and gentlemen. They are so afraid of this man. They are so afraid of him. Where do you start with the damage Gavin Newsom has done to the state that we both love? He leaned forward to gaze across the room of white Republicans who had come to hear him speak in Orange County. Listen to this. Rising crime She says, rising crime? It's because of this phony narrative that police are engaging in systemic racism. This is Larry Elder speaking. It is a phony narrative. He's 100% correct. If anyone dares to challenge me on that, I'll set up a stream just for you one-on-one. Losar. I debated Losar on Modern Day Debate, and he eventually had to change his definition of systemic racism in order to suggest that it exists. Systemic racism does not exist, just like biblical slavery. But that's another stream. Larry Elder. So she's going to put a question mark in his comment. Rising crime? It's because of the phony narrative that the police are engaging in systemic racism and cops are pulling back. That is true. So we just heard Larry Elder just say in his 3 points or 3 things he would do once he becomes governor. It looks like that's going to happen. When you reduce the possibility, this is Larry Elder, this isn't Erica speaking. When you reduce the possibility of the bad guy getting caught, getting convicted, and getting incarcerated, guess what? Crime goes up. That's common sense. Common sense, ladies and gentlemen. This is a commonsensical man. He doesn't think like the liberal. Remember the difference between the liberal brain and the conservative brain? I had a stream, some guy named Jill had a stream about that. This is her response. I won't lie. This is Erica. And let me show you who Erica is, by the way. Since it's her article, let me show you her. She black. Erica is a columnist. Hey, there you go. Talk about a smug smirk. There's a smug smirk if you ever seen one. But she's going to respond to Larry Elder and say, I won't lie. Few things infuriate me more than watching a black person. This is columnist for the time. I just named like 3 other newspapers. The Los Angeles Times, columnist Erica Smith. She says, few things infuriate me more than watching a black person, speaking of Larry Elder, using willful blindness and cherry-picked facts. What does that mean? When a liberal says cherry-picked facts, does that mean that they're not facts anymore? So how do you want me to give you all of the facts? Do you want me to tell you how much money this person was making, or that this person lost their job and that's the reason why they started selling drugs and then wind up shooting and killing their rival drug dealer? Are those the facts that you want me to include, Erica, in my story or in my argument? Few things infuriate me more than watching a black person use willful blindness and cherry-picked facts. Liberals, black liberals especially, don't like facts. Don't come to the barbecue with facts. They won't allow you to eat. Cherry-picked facts to make over simplistic arguments that whitewash the complex problems that come along with being black in America. There we go. There's the mantra. Being black in America. Shut up, liberal. Shut up, liberal. We're done. I'm done with this woman. Shut up, liberal. Everything woke turns to shh. Everything woke turns to shh.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to shit, okay? It's true. It's true. Look at what's happening.
Everything woke turns to shh. Erica, you turned to Scholar Fiction. He probably thinks he's woke. Well, he might not be as woke as he used to be. Uh, a few a few months ago. But everything woke turns into, you know what, excrement. I don't curse, so. Uh, Hi, Rebuke and Reprove. We have reviewed your appeal for the following content video. This was the video I made documenting the testimony of a parent who was concerned about a mandatory mask edict that was proposed, or not proposed, but declared by school administrators, principals. School administrator just means the principal, vice principal. That her son wear a mask, and because her son had staph infection from wearing these masks every day for 8 hours in school, the poor child came down with staph infection, and she was very vocal about it. And in response to her saying, well, he can't wear the mask, they built a plexiglass cage around his chair while the rest of the students were allowed to basically uh, roam around the classroom. Little Johnny had to stay in his plexiglass cage. So I made a video, it was about 5 minutes, 6 minutes long, of her testimony, of explaining or describing her experience with the school board and with the principal. And I entitled it Liberals Put Kids in Plexiglass Cages. So, of course, YouTube decides that was too strong of an argument. Um, maybe they thought I was gaslighting a bit. So here was, they took the video down, and this is the response to my repeal. Hi, Rebuke and Reprove. We have reviewed your appeal for the following content. We reviewed your content carefully. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't review anything. Your beast algorithms actually took the video down. The algorithm is set to take down any video that goes against their narrative. Right? Um, by the way, if you're interested in learning what I found out about the abomination, we all know what the abomination is. Email me, and I will set up a private StreamYard just for you and I'll show you what I found. It may save a loved one. On a serious note, we reviewed your content carefully and confirmed that it violates our medical misinformation policy. We know this is probably disappointing news, but it's our job to make sure that liberals is a safe place, or YouTube is a safe place for liberals. How does this affect your channel? We won't be putting your content back up on YouTube. If you appeal for a warning, you will not be giving another warning in the future. Shut up, liberal. Stop watching fake news.